All right, Chuck, tell me where we physically are in space right now.
Right now, we are in the M Vault of the Paramount Archive here on the Paramount lot.
Okay.
So this is where it's basically the control center for the entire archive department.
Okay, so this is like the brainstem of the archive.
Exactly.
It's cold here.
It is cold. One thing that we need in archiving is cold and dry. Both film and videotape like to be cool.
Even videotape.
Even videotape. In fact, videotape is much more susceptible to deterioration if it gets moisture.
Oh, right. Okay, so we're going to get into this because this is such a deep well. But I would like to start at the top line. Like, how many do you have a figure of how many films Paramount has made? Films and television Paramount has made in its lifetime?
We have about 3,000 feature films that we have major rights on that we haven't sold. That's our current,
Gotcha. 3,000.
3,000. And then we got another about 15,000 shorts, television shows, and other short format programs.
And these are being stored in original physical media film, but also videotape, digital videotape.
Yeah, we store the original negatives, and we show, for the things that are shot on film. We also store videotapes, and some of them are transfers from the film. Some of the material is original assets like the audio masters, and we also store a lot of behind the scenes type videotape masters. So basically we store almost every type of media, from original negative down to even a VHS, if you can believe it.
And every single one of those has its own needs and requirements for preservation.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I've always had this question about film archives at the studios. Like, if you guys have a hit film, like one of the Godfather films, it goes to not only just 1,000 screens back then, but it goes through re-releases and stuff like that. Each of those prints doesn't end up living here, does it? Like, several thousand prints might be struck over the film's lifetime.
Yeah, no, we are not the distribution end.
Right.
Feature distribution, they're the ones that send the prints to the theaters. We do keep prints because we like to have what we call archival prints.
Of course.
Which is a pristine print of whatever film it is. We don't always have it, for acquisitions, etc.
But distribution's not storing the negatives for those things, or for old films. Are
no,
they?
They're not. That's where we come
right.
in. We come in and we store all of the source material.
Gotcha.
So we will have archival prints because that's important to our preservation.
Right.
We want to know the best quality print that'll advise us on the color, so many things about the film.
So many things change over time too as the film deteriorates. Some of that original information can be lost if it's not stored correctly.
Absolutely.
We're here in the 21st century with all the knowledge we have of 21st century archives and how to store things, but we didn't always know that. Is some of what your job is dealing with the poor ways things might have been archived in the past?
Yes, sadly. I mean, film was very kind of like magazines when it first came out. It was very ephemeral.
Right.
There was films coming out every weekend, every Saturday. It would have its run, celebrate, and then it was done. The next one would come. So there was varying levels of what we would call preservation and archiving in film.
Copy.
Now, most of the studios want to keep anything that makes money.
Sure.
So
it's all about commerce.
Yeah, it's all commerce. But it kind of took a while. There's only about 15% of the silent films made between 1899 and 1930
really?
that are still around. And a lot of that is, deterioration. Some of it is intentional destruction, such as, recycling for the silver nitrate. And others just they didn't know how to store films, and it was kind of a learning process over the years.
Right.
And I think that one of the big emphasis for preserving stuff was secondary media. Now, your second run theaters, that was a great source of passive income. You've already made it. And then when television came around, suddenly you had this whole market of
and there might be different edits necessary for television.
Yeah, you have to cut it down.
Right.
We've had some films that they cut for television, and the theatrical cut might have not exist anymore. It really wasn't until like the 60s, 70s, well, probably 70s and 80s that film preservation and serious archiving really took hold.
So this is interesting, because I would imagine if I were to, let's say I made a Paramount film today and I decided to shoot it on film, I would probably have a meeting with you guys as part of making that film for Paramount, where you would help me understand what you guys needed at the end of production. Is that probably correct?
Well, yeah, we have a deliverables kind of process,
right?
And we have kind of a list of stuff that we want from every film.
Right.
So
and you don't always get your wish list?
No, we don't always get our wish list. Something that's Paramount produced, owned, a tent pole stuff, we get everything we want, but co-finance and there's lots of different, distribution and deals that Paramount make that we have to deal with, smaller companies, larger companies.
So you might have to go chase a property on Paramount's behalf for Paramount, even though they helped make the film.
Yeah, we have somebody on our staff that is, she provides the post with the list of everything that she needs and then that we need, and then she kind of badgers them until they deliver it.
Well, so now this leads to my second question, which is we're still on the original Paramount lot, right? This has been here for a century at least. So while I would imagine your ideal situation is you work with a filmmaker and you get the assets that you've asked for, but how often does someone find a tranche of old stuff here on this lot that comes back to you guys and you have to figure out what it is and where it came from?
Well, we get a lot, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Even still. There's always seems to be a cage in a basement under that nobody's opened.
Even after 100 years.
Yeah, and the theater here, the Lansing Theater, they asked us to come and clean that out, and we found a whole bunch of daily rolls, for
trailers, maybe even
trailers. Yeah, because there's a lot of screen rooms, so they would be viewing dailies, and then maybe they didn't want to keep any of that. Or maybe it was just forgotten behind the screen. And
that must be that sounds to me like that would be the really funnest part of the archives, is when something unknown comes in that was in the building.
It actually is. It's one of my favorite parts of the archives.
Because it's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah, it's like a treasure hunt, and it's also trying to figure out what it is. And do we already have this? Is it a duplicate? Is it something rare? It's even with things like a print of a daily, that's not an original element. We might not have that particular daily roll because it might not have been kept after the after the final cut.
Well, so this also leads to we famously heard about films like Apocalypse Now, like Coppola shoots however many 10 different movies that he could cut from the footage he shot. So it's a 10-to-1. There's at least 100 hours of film out there. So you guys don't get all of that stuff when a film finishes.
We generally do. In the film, I'll just give you an example. With a recent film that we had that was shot completely on film, it was Babylon.
Right.
They shot that during the lockdown, and they were shooting that on film. So they had reached out to us because of the restricted resources, to see if we could actually hold the film stock. Because
they needed enough. Oh, right. Because you're going to buy all your film stock at once.
They had to buy it all at once. They needed a place to store it, so we had stored it. And then during the whole shoot, we kept feeding them what they needed. We had people here. It was kind of a limited staff here.
Right.
So we fed them all this raw stock, and then when they wrapped, they gave us 1 million feet of film.
Oh my God.
It was just you now have to store. All that stock went to them.
So even though you've stored the stock and you gave it to them, that doesn't mean you lost that. So you have to put it back in the same place.
Exactly. So it's interesting how many productions still are using film.
I really love that, them working with you guys, not only because you have a resource that they can use, which is cold storage, but also that they're participating in their own archiving of what they built.
Yeah, exactly.
So Chuck, I'm curious about what would be the needs you'd want to go back to original dailies or things shot on set from a film from 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah, well, the biggest need is when we do a restoration project. For example, The Godfather.
Okay.
We did a restoration of all 3 Godfathers. And, as technology changes, so does the way that we view movies.
Right.
And when you are scanning something in high resolution, things that were created optically, for instance, dissolves or even just titles across it. Those were all 1 or 2 or 3 generations from the original negative.
Right, because they were optically composited.
But we're scanning from the original negative, which is first generations.
Holy.
So what we would need to do is go and find among that the opticals that they used to create that.
I'm getting chills hearing about this. I did not realize, of course, you want to redo those transitions because the optical compositing is a generation loss.
It's very jarring if you don't have that. And,
right, especially if you've brought the whole thing up to 4K and then you watch this transition and it's in...
You almost see it coming because, it's usually a one-shot transition and suddenly it's like, oh,
my mind is totally blown.
It's grainy. And then it dissolves or a title pops up or something. And then, you're back to this really good.
So you really are archiving the film so its process can be updated.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, having the source material. There's so much information on original negative that can be pulled out. Even now, we digitize. We have all of our, great 4K HDR screens.
So is there like a giant Godfather section here? How much does that kind of stuff take up?
Godfather is pretty big now. That was a very popular movie, so they kept everything. They didn't always keep everything, but that one was we kept everything on it.
Amazing.
And it was also because it was such a loved film. Right. The original negative had been kind of overloved. So
in the best way.
In the best way. So there was some shots that they had replaced with dupe negatives. That we found, we were able to go back and we would find,
oh God, there must have been a moment you're calling up Coppola and being like, hey, this and this. And he's like, oh, I always wanted that to be better.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That must be what a treat for the filmmaker too.
Yeah. In fact, with The Godfather, we worked really closely with the team, and it was great. They tell us what they need.
Yeah.
Our preservation would tell us what we need, what can be better.
Right.
And, it was just this real cooperative effort.
Oh, how exciting. Can we see the Godfather
section?
Is
that... absolutely.
Yeah.
Come on down here. So these shelves have a lot of mixed media because this is generally a lot of the projects that we're currently working on.
I see everything. I see videotape. I see film.
Mix of videotape.
16 millimeter, 35 millimeter.
You see these cartons that contain trims, outs, dailies of various films. We have some of the Godfather
Star Trek the motion picture.
Yep, Star Trek the motion picture. We even keep like work prints because actually that can be useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just saw Godfather. I got really excited.
Yeah, no, we got Godfather. Here's Godfather 2.
Wow.
We got all of the trims and outs and negatives. Now we finished this project, and so we want to, move this stuff back into storage, but we want to make sure that the next generation for the next the next technology that comes around.
Well, you guys have built a current map of all this stuff in your head and in the archives, but you want to move it in a way that maintains the fidelity to that.
Exactly. We want to make sure that the boxes are good, that the cans are not going to do any damage if they're the old steel cans, that there's no rust.
Right.
So before we put them back into deep storage, we want to make sure while we got it here, all the I's are dotted and the T's crossed, I guess.
One of the famous stories about the founding of Federal Express was that the key difference that the founder made was they understood that the information about the package was more important than the package itself, and that what they trafficked in was the information about the package. And what you're talking about is the information about the film is in some ways even more important than the film, because if you don't have it, you can't find it.
Absolutely. We have roles that have come up and we don't know what movie it's from. We can't really tell, stray roles, but it's that metadata that is the most important thing. I didn't know what metadata was, but I had been doing it my entire career because, I got my start cataloging Paramount films and just, if I didn't know what this actually was, I just added that information. With preservation, it's really important.
I'm seeing some artifacts of personalities. Just as I'm looking at the labels of these boxes, I'm seeing this is one way of writing Godfather 2. This is another way. And this person is clearly taking their job quite seriously on this day, because I see that they've managed the same font on all of these.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate this person.
I do too, especially after looking at some of the editorial paperwork where it's going really fast.
Oh, it's like doctor prescriptions.
It's doctor
you can't read
prescription.
anything.
Yeah. So,
oh man, a documentary about Godfather 3?
Yeah. That's the 3 document. I believe for the Godfather 3. I think that was on the DVD.
Wow.
They also had a documentary on Godfather 1, which
I don't remember ever seeing such a thing.
I haven't either.
Oh no! So it hasn't. This is unseen.
Well, we found these, and it says documentary pictures, stuff like
but still to be gone through.
It's still to be gone through. That's why it's sitting here, essentially.
Right.
So I believe that there was, that we probably have a videotape of it somewhere as well. With the Godfather thing, we'd get to that. So this is we'll get to it.
Oh my goodness. And this is still somewhat of a fraction what we've covered thus far of what Godfather takes up here.
Yeah, and we've already returned about 1,700 reels of Godfather
1,700.
stuff. Yeah, we store stuff in Pennsylvania in a limestone mine.
Optical net. You're still. That is. I knew this place was an iceberg when I showed up, but I didn't quite realize how much of an iceberg it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's
some of these look really old too.
Yeah, and some of them, this is a Latin Spanish. That was probably a title. Then we have stuff,
foreign versions.
Yeah, for foreign versions.
Oh, right. Do you guys save foreign cuts?
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, we save foreign cuts. We save censored cuts. We save television cuts. A lot of television cuts, they usually add, maybe not Godfather, but they'll add extra footage.
Oh, yeah.
Star Trek, the motion picture, had some extra footage for its ABC air.
Oh, fast. Some extra footage.
Some extra footage that wasn't in the theatrical version.
My favorite has always been, I don't know if you've ever seen the TV version of Brazil.
I've never seen the TV version. No,
So the TV version of Brazil, when it first aired in the 80s, because I projected it and I knew that film really well, the TV version was actually Sid Sheinberg's cut. Oh. He took all the he took his own set of dailies from Gilliam and had his own editors cut his own version of Brazil, which is a fever dream different than Gilliam's vision. And that's the one that aired on television in New York in the 80s.
Oh, I wonder if is that still around?
It's in the Criterion. Criterion put it on the Criterion.
It's on that disc.
Yeah, so you can watch it.
All right.
It's terrible.
Oh, is it?
It's absolutely terrible. I can't believe how deep this well goes.
Yeah.
It's Godfather all the way back still.
Yeah, still Godfather here.
Oh my God, I remember Godfather. These boxes.
Yeah.
What are those called?
We call them Goldbergs from the company that actually created them. Goldberg sold to Hollywood Film Company, but we still call them Goldbergs. But they're also called ICCs. I think that's...
when I was a young projectionist, we'd get our 20-minute reels on these, and I'd have to assemble them because that's an hour of film in there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's probably a 4 or 6, and it's 2,000 reels. 2,000 feet.
I'm curious if there's a piece of Godfather ephemera that most surprised you or that you were like thrilled about, a story.
Oh, all right. So my contribution to the Godfather restoration was that they used stock footage in the Godfather, especially for the 1950s. Actually, earlier than the 1950s, they had this one shot of L.A. and you see the Chinese theater and you see the Hollywood Land sign in the back.
Right. That was stock.
We had that was a stock footage, and Sherman Greenberg actually had licensed to it, which didn't exist anymore. So I was tasked to try and locate the better source because it was really it was a bad dupe neg of a print. So, I started doing some research.
How do you even start to pull that thread?
I Googled it, and I found the trail that it led to MGM.
Mm-hmm.
I guess most of that stuff was sold to, or MGM had bought that stock collection. And so I actually knew somebody at MGM. So I called and said, hey, I'm trying to track down this. That went to Warner Brothers.
I imagine the archivists are friendly with each other.
Oh yeah, actually, it's kind of, we all take, like, if we get something that's not ours, we treat it like it's ours because, archivists.
You care about the same thing.
The thing is more important than who owns it, right?
Right.
So I reached out to Warner Brothers. I just happen to have a former colleague that worked there, and he did a kind of a deep well search, and he actually found a pretty decent print from of this stock footage. It wasn't a negative or anything like that, but it's better than what we had. So, they sent that one to us. We were able to scan it, and it looks pretty good.
Amazing. That's your contribution. That is really, really cool.
Yes, tracking that down. There was one stock shot I couldn't track down, and I just distract everybody when that comes up.
We'll cut that part out. Now, I know that it's apparently there's no way in which a civilian is supposed to be able to obtain a print of a film that has been broadcast distributed. But I know that there are private collections out there. How often do you guys get stuff back from private collectors?
Private collectors, not as much, but we get a lot of stuff back from labs and lab closures.
Oh, wow.
Worldwide.
Oh, God, where they go into a basement and find a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they've got a whole warehouse. They haven't been, that stuff has been there, and then they're finally going to close that warehouse, and they start reaching out to people. So I do get a lot, at least once a year, somebody sending me a list of Paramount titles for me to review. And of course, anything film, I'm like,
and you want it all.
I want on anything film, I want it all. I check if, videotape as standard def, I'll make sure that we, have that copy, but, we don't need another,
but if it's
another
film.
1 inch of something. But if it's any film, even if it's just prints, because prints are a lot rarer now.
Yeah.
And having a print that was made at the time is especially valuable.
Right. A cut of Star Wars just showed up.
An IB print.
Yes.
An imbibition print. Then those don't fade. And actually, we found an imbibition print in Germany, from one of those lab closures of A White Christmas, and that was excellent because we were able to inform the preservation team, or they were able to better inform themselves on how, the color saturation, the brightness,
right?
Because that's a very vibrant film. That's
when that sort of stuff happens, are there industry magazines or websites that there'll be some articles go up on there, like cinematographers, right? How do you transmit that information to other archivists?
Generally, if a lab had reached out to me, they'll usually just give me the whole thing and say, we think these are Paramount. And then I'll go, hey, that's somebody else. And so I'll reach out to a friend at Universal and say, hey, they have all this stuff. I saw one of your titles there.
Amazing.
Same with Warner Brothers.
So, you guys all know that you're pulling on the same rope.
Yeah.
Trying to do the same job.
Yeah, exactly. So I always take a call from somebody trying to track something down because you never know. We might have it.
I'm sure this is a question you get almost every time you do a tour, but is there a piece of film in here that is your favorite or something that is deeply part of your soul?
Well, it's a more recent part of my soul. There's which I actually love. It's from the Star Trek Director's Edition that we did.
Director's Edition.
And that is some of this stuff because I'm kind of a Trekkie.
Sure.
Or Trekker, I guess. I don't know if that's more. I have never seen any of the film stuff, but this is some of the special effects that are done, that were shot on
VistaVision?
No, this is 70 millimeter.
70 millimeter.
It's actually 65 millimeter.
Oh my God. Look at the size of that. So they shot effects footage on the 70 millimeter in order to get more room to be able to move the camera around within the frame.
Yeah. And also, they were doing opticals too.
Right. So they're losing a generation. They're losing
every opticals. And there's a lot of these opticals because you have the mats, the drop shadows, all of that stuff. So there could be,
so you do it on the large format
for one effect.
You lose a lot less in the large format than in the small format. So this just came up?
Well, we did this about a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So we finished it. And again, we're in the process of determining which ones,
what you have,
what we have, make sure before we put it into the deep storage or into our frozen storage, that it's fully metadataed out.
I would imagine, even with that metadata, that there are some of these pieces that you could damage them just by finding out what they are.
That is true. Yeah,
that even just unspooling
can be dangerous. There's, depending upon its condition, they can bond. So if you're pulling at it, it could just the emulsion can just kind of peel off, or it'll stick to one side.
Oh man!
So you have to be pretty careful, especially if something is coming from a storage, that you don't just trying to, look at the leader and look
Right,
at the
right.
slate, that you're not
Oh.
just like, rip.
It's like you have the job that is the longest, slowest game of whack-a-mole ever.
Yeah.
Chuck, I really thank you for
Yeah.
giving me just the briefest vision inside this incredible, incredible warehouse of creativity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
That's what we do, is we just try and preserve other people's creativity, I guess. Yeah, so.
One of the most difficult things I have ever done in my life was write this book, which I did in 2018, released it in 2019. And I've been noticing as I do the cons and sign autographs, that a lot of people are bringing purchased copies of my book for me to sign. So we thought, let's make them available at adamsavage.com. This one was ordered by Zachary for his friend David for his birthday. Happy birthday. Oh, there we go. Everyone's different. AdamSavage.com.